What up, Salvador Briggman here. Welcome back to the Crowdfunding Demystified podcast. On this show, we get into the crux of how to actually be successful with a crowdfunding campaign and how do you make this a part of your strategy to bring your ideas into the world. In today's episode, we actually interviewed a guest who raised over $1 million with a WeFunder campaign. WeFunder is a form of equity crowdfunding, and we're going to be dissecting that, deconstructing it, and really revealing how they were able to do this. And they've actually shared a lot of really unique strategies which you can use in order to get people to take action. So if you've been looking for that value pack, sort of strategic and also tactical episode, I think you're really going to like what today's guest was able to bring. This is an incredibly accomplished individual, and they run the entire marketing behind this actual WeFunder campaign for raising, again, $1 million for more than 600 investors. One of the things that I try to do with this show is to not only give you examples of success, but also study the habits of these people and how they have been successful. And I would say that everyone that I've had on has had an incredible amount of discipline. If you go back and you listen to the various episodes, the case studies that I've covered since 2015 of how to be successful with crowdfunding, everyone is taking action over a sustained period of time. Everyone has a certain degree of passion, intensity. They have a commitment. They're willing to take control. They're willing to make decisions, and they're willing to come to this process by being prepared, pushing through the difficult emotions, exhibiting resilience, right? And being willing to go through the pain in order to see the incredible benefits on the other side. So if you've ever been dealing with that, I think that's one of the things you're going to have to do if you ever want to be successful in a larger way, right? If you want to be successful, you want to grow, your life has to be one of discomfort occasionally. And for me, I am living here in Miami, Florida, and a lot of times I'm actually walking down the street and people will speak to me in Spanish. And I was thinking about this the other day, and for me, I think that the reason why I'm so driven, one of the reasons why I view it as my ethical duty to be successful is that I'm actually adopted from El Salvador. So I'm not a native Spanish speaker. I was adopted from El Salvador at the age of 1. And, coming from a third world country and being able to grow up in America in a first world country, I've always viewed it as my duty to be successful. And I think that that's one thing. If you can find something in your past, some reason why you believe, right, that you need to be successful, I think it's an incredible way to just light a fire under what you're doing. So you're going to hear a lot in today's episode, not only the strategy and the tactics that went into this raise, but also some marketing, really specific marketing tidbits and golden nuggets, which you can take away. So I hope that you enjoy it. In addition, I do have a free resource for those of you out there. One of my values as a company and as a founder, as a creator, is to put out high quality education. I've been doing this since 2012 with my blog, crowdcrux.com. I put out education on my YouTube channel as well under my name, Salvador Briggman. I have different books out there and courses and stuff like that. And I also do coaching. And one of the things I've decided to make available to you is sort of how to actually do an equity crowdfunding campaign and how to do it from start to finish. If you want to just jump to the finish line and you really want to understand what the pros are doing when it comes to raising capital from the crowd, building a massive tribe around what you're doing, getting funding from the crowd, getting people to take action, building a movement. If that sounds interesting to you and you really want to understand more of the puzzle pieces that go into it, go and check out this free course that I've created for you on equity crowdfunding. Okay, so this course, this link is crowdcrux.com/equity course. That link is crowdcrux.com/equity course. Again, crowdcrux.com/equity course. This is for you if you want to raise capital from the crowd. You want to do this using investment crowdfunding, also known as equity crowdfunding, and you're willing to give away some shares in your company in order to actually raise that capital. Again, crowdcrux.com/equity course. And as a follow-up, you guys know that I love giving a 1-2 punch combo, right? When it comes to education, I believe in learning in many different learning formats. So I also put together a book as well to help you be your guide as you're going through this process. And if you want to get a free copy of this book, you just got to go to Audible at the link crowdcrux.com/equity audio. And that link will take you to the Audible version of Equity Crowdfunding Explained. And you can actually grab a free copy of that. Listen to me read it with my passion and my enthusiasm at crowdcrux.com/equity audio. And I'll include that link as well in the description. Guys, I am so excited to introduce you to today's guest, and it's coming up right after this. Hey guys, welcome back to the Crowdfunding Demystified podcast. Today we are speaking with a team that has been able to raise over $1 million on WeFunder from over 600 investors for transforming the $2 trillion U.S. housing market with robotic smart homes. And we are lucky enough to speak with a member of the team. David, welcome to the show.
Thanks for having me. I'm excited to be here.
Definitely. Do you think you could just tell the audience a tiny bit more about the company and also just a bite size about you as well?
Yeah. So the company is ZenniHome. We are about 3 years old. We are looking to fill a major gap in the housing industry. Our ambitions are global. We've got a big enough market here in the U.S. To start with, as you mentioned, a $2 trillion housing market. That is actually facing, a large housing crisis. I think if you look at articles from last year, CNN was reporting a shortage of like 6.5 million homes. And, even with all the builders out there, traditional stick-built homes, that's going to take a significant amount of time to be able to tackle that shortage. That combined with prices going up dramatically over the past few years through the pandemic, supply chain issues, interest rates now in the 6-7%.
Insane.
Yeah. It's crazy, and so people aren't selling their homes. The home prices are already inflated. My brother just bought his first starter townhome and spent over $500,000 getting into a townhome. Great house, but kind of crazy thinking about how much he has to put into that compared to say what I did in my first home years ago, and then what my parents did decades ago. Prices are always going to go up over time, but I think especially over these last 5 to 10 years, it's been insane. Mm-hmm. So our big value proposition is producing the highest quality attainable housing. So we're not trying to cut corners. We're not trying to do something, budget, in terms of quality. We want very high quality finishes, furnishings, et cetera, but in a home that is at an attainable price point. So our one bedroom starts at $90,000. The 2-bedroom starts at $125,000 with some options you can add on from there. But if you're looking to buy a home and you can't tackle something that's $500,000, we want to be a really great, comfortable, beautiful option for you at a price range that's not crazy. So, you stack.
Yeah. So just to clarify as well. So from what I understand, they're also not tiny homes, right? So what would you say is the difference? Is it the robotic element or?
Yeah. So we, in one hand, you could classify us, I guess, as a tiny home. But we are doing things quite a bit different than most other tiny homes. If you've ever toured most tiny homes, they're kind of cut up into all these little, small, almost microscopic spaces. You can feel, claustrophobic if you're sensitive to that in those homes. You're climbing up a little ladder and you're sleeping, 2 feet from the ceiling. So don't sit up quickly and stuff like that. In our homes, we have leaned into the principle of transforming space. So in like our main bedroom, it is also your main like family and hosting room. And so a king size bed, you have a nice big room, plenty of space, sleeping in a king size bed. That's not typical in a tiny home. Once you're done with that, you hit a button or talk to Google or use your smartphone, and your bed rises up into the ceiling, revealing a couch behind. The back of the couch is actually your headboard. And now you have an equally sizable, family entertaining room to watch TV and host guests and friends over and stuff like that. So we really spent a lot of time with our designers and architects looking at how we currently live in our homes. And most homes, when you're sleeping, you're using your bedrooms. But what's happening with your kitchen, your family room, all the rest of your house? It's all wasted.
So you're making the maximum use of space, right? When it comes to this. And what is your role as well when it comes to the company?
Yeah, so I'm VP of Marketing and Design. So I run all of our marketing efforts as well as our website. We're working on some new smart home app designs and everything that way as well. So I'm running all of that.
So really cool. So I just have one or two questions, first of all, before we kind of get into this. So you guys have done a mega campaign so far. You're getting tremendous interest. What led to your decision to do a community round or a crowdfunding round on WeFunder?
Yeah, so honestly, it came from quite a bit of demand from customers that we were talking to. This is we're producing something that everybody can relate to. Everybody is passionate about. Everybody, will live in some sort of a housing unit typically. And so we had a lot of early interested customers saying, how do I join in on this? You guys are revolutionizing the housing industry. Is there any way for us to invest, to get in, kind of at the ground floor and participate in this growth? So when people saw the designs, it's a beautiful home. It's high quality. And we're turning things upside down by doing the transforming, furniture. People got really excited. So we saw an appetite there with, the general masses for investing in this company. And we've always thought about, building a ZenniHome family, a ZenniHome community. And so, that the idea around crowdfunding popped up, and we thought, I think we've got a great product and company that would apply, to this method. And so we went for it.
Very cool. And, you thinking from the marketing angle, what were some of the things you were doing before you actually went live with this campaign? Like, to prepare for this and to get people taking action, what were some of the actions you were taking before you went live?
Yeah, so there's quite a bit of prep work, and there's things that we did well, and there's things that I look back and say, this is what I would have done differently. Also, so hopefully, maybe I can talk through a couple of those and help someone else out that's thinking about it. Some of the biggest and best things we did was spend an obsessive, amount of time crafting our story, our value proposition, thinking through the pitch. Ultimately, when you're doing crowdfunding, you don't really have the opportunity to get in front of every single person individually and answer all of their specific questions. So we spent quite a bunch of time going through, what are all the different important elements that people would need to learn about our company, trying to anticipate every major question, roadblocking question that someone would have, when thinking about investing in our company. And then ultimately designing a really great deck and text to go with that to communicate all these ideas in a smooth, clear way, so that by the time someone reads through it, we have ideally sold them on the idea, been clear about risks, and then also have likely answered most of their questions that they would have had all within that deck, so that they have the best shot of evaluating for themselves, do I want to invest in this company or not? And, we do hope that they find us promising and they like our growth story and they do make an investment. But, if you leave someone hanging with, I like the idea, but like, I have all these questions, I'm not sure, that ends up being a pretty inefficient campaign. So that was like the foundation, was just telling that story cleanly, clearly, and in a powerful way.
That's so interesting you say that. And I think it's almost like, really thinking ahead and identifying like what are the FAQs, right? And like incorporating that into the pitch so that people aren't held back, right, by what they don't know or they don't understand.
Yeah. And part of this was I would, dry run, this pitch and get feedback from as many people as possible, to start to understand, okay, like, hey, I just gave this to you start to finish. You didn't know anything about Zenni before. What do you think? What are your questions? What's left on your mind? What are the things that you wish we had talked more about? And, you iterate over that rapidly over and over again. And all of a sudden you're able to, pretty well understand, okay, nine times out of 10 people are asking this question and, have these other topics they wish we talked through. Okay, great. Go back, adjust the pitch. I come from a background in UX design and software design, and testing and iterations is the key to success. You're never going to nail it the first time through. As smart as you think you are, as good of a writer, designer you think you are, you're never going to nail it the first time. So get something down quick, get feedback, and then, iterate.
I mean, I love that. I love that answer. And I think it really speaks a lot to the hard work you put in. And you obviously have gotten the result here, when it comes to the marketing. What did it feel like when you first started to have people invest in this, start to have people spread the word about it? What did it feel like for you, pioneering that marketing front?
Yeah, I mean, it felt very validating to see that, people out there that we don't know are understanding our company and are seeing the potential of what we're investing in. I think one of the most fun things is when you can see comments coming in from those that do invest, and them actually, articulating very clearly some of our value propositions, and I'm choosing to invest because of this. Like, great, that came through, very clearly, and people are understanding, where we're trying to go with this. But yeah, we start obviously with a friends and family round, in private first, to try and get a nice little boost at the beginning. And you never know when it's people close to you. Are they investing purely on the ideas? There's some, relationship and impact there. And, I know there's definitely going to be a mix of all of that. But once you go public, and it's now a bunch of strangers that I've never met, before, seeing them invest was like that's a pretty fun, a fun feeling. It's a thrill. And then also feels like, an immense responsibility at the same time, right? We've communicated this big idea, this big vision, and now we feel a big responsibility to go and make a return for these investors.
If you're worried about the fulfillment and shipping part of your Kickstarter campaign when it comes to getting out all those perks and rewards to your backers, rest assured, I've put together a complete Kickstarter fulfillment and shipping checklist for you, and it's free. This is sponsored by the folks at Fulfillrite, and they thought that you should have this checklist as part of your arsenal going into a crowdfunding campaign. If you want to get instant access to this checklist, and it's free, you can go to fulfillrite.com/checklist. Again, that is fulfillrite.com/checklist, fulfillrite.com/checklist. Just go to that link and you can download it immediately. On a personal note, what has always driven you or drawn you to like UX and design and understanding how people think and like doing that in a visual way? Has that been something you've always been passionate about, or how did you discover that?
Yeah, so I have kind of an interesting career path. My original degree was in marketing, actually. Back in the day when most of it was kind of focused on physical marketing and email marketing, was kind of the what we were being taught there. Social media, became the big thing after that, and I dove really, really deep into that. But I've just always been very fascinated by problem solving, by psychology, human behavior, what motivates people to do any given thing on any given day. Anyway, so I ended up stumbling, kind of into tech, became a software developer for a while, and diving into the world of building software and software design. Was kind of an extension of why I had gotten into marketing in the first place, right? So I love, getting in front of people, talking to them about things that they're trying to achieve, problems that they have, what's standing in their way, taking that data and going and designing, a feasible solution, in the software space, and iterating, testing hypotheses, over and over and over again. At the end of the day, like, I love working on projects that are going to change the world, that are going to go have a big impact on society, help people at scale, and in masses. And so I love being able to put my problem solving and thinking towards solving those problems. So on one hand, there's like maybe building a thing, right, that can solve some problems. But then you also have to go and tell people about it and persuade people and help people learn about this thing, how to use it and whatnot, in order for that to go out and change the world in the way that you hope you will. So yeah, I just recently came from a great company called InstaWork, and we built a labor marketplace for part-time temporary labor. So people would be able to go into an app, that maybe are having a hard time finding work or needing more flexibility. And so we built a cool solution where we had by the time I left, we had over 4 million people had downloaded and used that app to find work and get paid every day. And that feels really good. So now coming into, housing, I also see a huge crisis there. There's a lot of people in pain, a lot of people not able to get the type of living solution that they're looking for. Mm-hmm. And so, we're coming.
Yeah, at the end of the day, you're having an impact, and you're doing that through the vehicle, right, of marketing.
Yes.
And you're getting people to take action in a way that's positive and, that improves their lives. So, with ZenniHomes, would you say that the reason people are investing is because they want to get in the ground floor of this, is because of the mission, like the social mission? Like, why do you feel like people are pulling the trigger on this?
Yeah, there's a number of reasons. It's really interesting because I think a lot of them come in. We'll see comments to this effect, right? They believe in the vision, the mission. Anybody investing does hope to make a return and grow, their investment that way. But many of them also see themselves as customers. So they say, I'm investing in the vision, the future. And I also, as soon as, you guys can get me one, I want to buy a Citizen or a Denizen unit. And so I think they see the problem from the lens of, I am an actual user here. I experience this pain. I see this, directly. And so they want to invest in the solution and also, be a customer of it, which is kind of fun.
Yeah. And I think that's really, at the end of the day, if you want something to exist in the world, right, you have to help those people. You have to be a customer. You have to be an investor, right, in order to have that technology exist in the world.
Yes.
So it looks like one of the other things we're talking about in the pre-interview that kind of led to your success is this idea of like webinars, right?
Yeah.
Maybe you could talk a tiny bit to that point. What do you mean when you talk about webinars, and why that was useful when it comes to the strategy?
Yeah. So we had kind of this realization where, we start to get our name out there, and you would not believe the amazing phone calls that we would be having with, experts in all sorts of different areas, all around the world in terms of building and construction and sustainability and government and housing needs and, you name it. And we'd have these incredible conversations, and then, we'd end the call. And after kind of a few weeks of doing this, I was like, man, people would love to hear these conversations. This is like a gold mine of content right here, in just these private calls that we're doing. And so, I talked with Bob, our CEO, and I was just like, I think one of the best things we could do for the success of our company, getting our name out there, is just be super, super open, transparent, communicate, over communicate everything that we're doing, we're working on, we're thinking about. And so we kind of pitched this idea of well, what if, we have these interesting individuals that we're talking with, what if we streamed these live and made it kind of a fireside chat format, and we were able to, get an audience of people to come in and not only listen, but then be able to submit questions and interact with it.
Wow, that's cool.
So they can learn more deeply. We took that then a step further and said, well, there's only a certain, small percentage of people that are going to be able to actually, jump on live, right? We'll send out a big email to, thousands of people, and we may end up with 200-300 people that jump on live. But then we can also, if we utilize the right tools, we can take the recording, throw that up on YouTube. Now it's a long form piece of content that we can email back out to everyone. In case you missed it, you can watch it here. We'll see hundreds, of more views that will come in asynchronously for those that couldn't attend live. And then we take it one more step, and we start to clip up that long form content into short form social content. And now,
I love that idea.
Yeah. So now we have this huge content bank where we're getting stuff up live. We're getting it up on YouTube as long form, and now we've got short stories, TikToks, all of that across all of our social accounts. And now, like, we're in a position where we try to do these webinars at least once a week. Sometimes we'll miss a week if we're a little bit busy, but we now have more video content than we probably have ability to even post. So we're trying to do, like 2 posts a day across our social accounts. And we now have more video and more content than we know what to do with, which is very different, a very different situation than we were in, even just a month ago.
What I love about that also is that it doesn't take thousands and thousands of people viewing that content either. Like, even just having 200 people on a webinar, that's a lot of people, right? Live. If you think about that, that could fill a whole audience full of people.
Yeah, you think about that in like a real life scenario. That's a pretty big, presentation hall that you're in front of people, and those that sign up, they're all very high intent. Like, we send out an event page with clear details on who's going to be there, what we're talking about. It's this subject. And so everybody showing up is like, I want to be there. This is something I'm interested in. And we generally see, probably 80-90% of those that start the session watch it all the way through. These are an hour long.
Have you done any like tracking on the number of investors it drives or anything conversion wise?
Yeah. So that, to like track that, exactly, things can get a little bit fuzzy, but we definitely quickly saw, within our first few times doing this, anytime we held a webinar, within that next kind of 24, 48 hours, we would see a nice bump in our investment dollars. So, can we perfectly attribute that to it? No, but I think there's strong correlation there that, we've continued to do that, continue to see that result. So it's, regardless of the specific number of people and investment dollars, it's very, very much been worth it to us.
Yeah, that's so cool. And I think there's so many ways to even, go even further and supercharge that. But I mean, you guys are crushing it when it comes to putting out great content and really interesting, shorts. And it looks like as well stuff on your YouTube channel. So, congratulations on that.
Thank you.
So I do have a couple more questions here, but where can people go, first of all, to learn more, about your campaign and about what you're doing here?
Yeah, I mean, the first place I would send people to is to our WeFunder page. So WeFunder.com/ZenniHome, ZenniHome. It's all one word. And so you can see, the pitch deck and everything that I mentioned that we wrote and designed. That's all up there. So that campaign is still live. If you want more information, you also can go to our website, ZenniHome.com, same spelling, ZenniHome.com, all one word. And there's quite a bit more, detail there. You can go look at our individual units. You can actually place a $100 reservation on any of our units and get in the queue for buying a home in the future. Very similar to what Tesla does. We do try to learn a lot from their playbook. But those would be the 2 best places to go. And then there's, one, we recently also got featured in Forbes. And so if you just Google, ZenniHome Forbes, that'll pop up. And there's a great article in there where there's a couple in manufacturing and housing experts quoted in there, their kind of analysis of ZenniHome, which was really fun to have some third-party experts, speak about what we're doing and voice their support.
Very cool. So I'll make sure to link up the WeFunder in the show notes for those that are listening. So the first question would be kind of on the marketing front of, if you could go back in time and, you're trying to plan this entire campaign out, right? And it's going to be a lot of stuff that you have to do. If you could focus on one thing or tell yourself in the past one thing, what would you share to really have a positive impact on making sure you do your best with the campaign?
Yeah. So one of the things that I wish, I could have gone back and done, and if I had, been with the company, full time earlier, we probably would have done this. But actually, pretty rigorously trying to build a pre-launch list so that once you do launch that your public campaign, that you already have like a sizable amount of people that you are getting in front of that are already excited about the idea. perceived momentum is huge when it comes to crowdfunding. There's plenty of amazing companies, amazing founders, amazing teams that are crowdfunding that maybe, don't do things quite right or don't have a great marketing team. And they could very well be a super successful company, but because they didn't play their cards right, their campaign maybe shows like a few $1,000s raised, and it looks like a dud. It looks like they're going to fail or go bankrupt as a company, which may not actually be true. But people very much will watch that page over time. Like, is the number going up? Is it stalling out? I don't, we'll kind of say like, I don't want to be the chump that like invests some money and then it doesn't take off and then I screwed over. And so making sure that you can build and sustain some momentum in those crowdfunding dollars is important. And that first, week or so of launching is probably the most crucial. So anything that you can raise in kind of your private, friends and family around, and then have a big, email list or social following that's ready to go. They know who you are. They're excited about your product, and then you unveil your crowdfunding to them. That's probably one of the big, most important steps that if I were to go back in time, I wish I could do better, and would highly recommend for anybody else looking to launch a campaign.
Well said. My other question is kind of, I like to, study habits. And I think in listening to you, not only you have, these ethical higher purposes that you're working to achieve with your campaigns, and you have the discipline to go after it, but you also, if I'm listening to your story, you also kind of have this trend of education and like learning different skill sets, whether that's UX or programming or marketing. What do you think the role is when it comes to education, in how did that play in your career, or what are your thoughts on that?
Yeah, you got to always be learning. I think that's one of the most powerful ideas out there. The second you stop learning, you become stagnant, you start to get rusty, you start to, lose out on opportunities that you might have been able to have otherwise. I consider myself, always a student. I don't look at my career as, I studied this thing in college, and so I can only do these skills and therefore, only work in these types of jobs. I look at some new technology that comes out. The biggest tools recently would be, everything AI related, ChatGPT, Midjourney, whatnot. There's no college courses out there. Nobody's an expert in it. And this is an opportunity, a moment in time to go dig in, study it yourself, follow other people that are doing it well, and become that expert. Do it on your own. And when you can be always on the cutting edge of learning what's new and coming around the corner in terms of technology, methods, expertise, you will see, in my opinion, much more success in every single thing that you do. So yeah, I've
well said.
I've made transitions multiple times during my career, and I don't look at them as like, I'm going to stop doing this thing and now I'm doing this new thing, and it's just kind of this binary look at things. I love to stack my skill sets. Marketing stacked with software development, stacked with, UX design. All of a sudden you're able to see the world in, through a much different lens, and have viewpoints that no one else will see, because you're able to kind of cross all of these skill sets together. So I hope that I continue to, learn things, into the future, and I'm very excited for, all the new technology that's coming out and that's going to enable. So
I think that's an awesome message. And I think as well, you are learning from people, and you're learning from real world data, not just like reading books, you're also studying and, creating hypotheses and all these kinds of things. So kudos to that. My final question, we can end on this note. You can either end with a quote that you like, a book that you recommend, or just a word of encouragement for other people out there trying to turn their vision into reality.
Great. I think, maybe the last thing that I would end on is, I would say, for anybody thinking about launching your crowdfunding campaign, or maybe this can even, be broadly for anybody thinking about doing something, risky or new or big project, just go for it. Don't be afraid of failure. Don't be afraid to mess up. Most things, most choices you make, most things you end up doing are easily reversible or easily adjusted later. There's very few things that are super permanent. We've taken that approach with everything we've done with our marketing at ZenniHome, and we just experiment, and we have plenty of things that fail, that don't work out. And we look at it as like, great, that's an awesome data point. Noted, adjusting course, we're moving on. And so anytime you can set yourself up well by shipping quickly, experimenting, moving fast, don't be afraid. That's all going to work to your advantage. So hopefully, my words today are a bit of encouragement to go for it. If you're sitting, right on the edge of doing something big, I would say go for it. Reach out to me, let me know how it goes. And I'd love to be able to support your dreams in whatever way that I can.
Well said, David. Thank you so much for coming on the podcast. Really appreciate it and sharing all this great advice, tips, tactics, strategy. It means so much. And good luck with your remaining days here.
Thank you so much.
Thank you for listening to this episode of the Crowdfunding Demystified podcast. Oh man, was that not a whopper of an episode? We learned so much, I think, you being a fly on the wall when it comes to actually understanding what goes into a powerful crowdfunding campaign. How do you get people to take action? How do you use marketing and digital marketing as sort of like a way to supercharge your results and have people around the world taking action, funding you, and becoming a part of your vision? Now, when I first started to really get into different media publications out there, it's actually back in the day when I actually started to get into the crowdfunding industry, I started to get cited in major media publications. I started doing calls with reporters. And for me, it was like a huge aha moment because I realized that my brand could be global. My brand could be worldwide, that people could discover me with my blog, my podcast, my YouTube channel. And it's one of the most profound moments of my life where I actually realized that this is something that was much bigger than anyone could ever imagine. When you're thinking about doing a campaign, sometimes it actually seems too big. The idea that you could target the entire world, that you could have thousands of people taking action, funding you, checking out your page, sharing you on social media, right? And when I started to actually understand that, it was a little bit overwhelming. And I realized that no matter how much media attention I get, no matter how big I get on YouTube, no matter how many people are listening to the podcast or writing in every single week to my emails, I always wanted to have an option where I could give the community access to me in some way as a teacher, as a guide, as a mentor to help people through this process. And that's why I started doing my one-on-one individual intensive coaching calls and have made myself available to the community. So you've been listening to this podcast, or this is your first time, or you've been checking out some other episodes, or my YouTube channel, my blog. This is an opportunity for really, I'd say, for anyone who's super serious about actually doing this, who wants to cut to the finish line, who wants to cut through the fluff, right? Who doesn't want to have to listen to tons and tons of stuff and spend, hours and hours and months figuring this out. If you really want to get an intensive coaching call, figure out the A to Z for you, for your specific case, for your industry, for your niche, and also the things that you need to do when it comes to the strategy and the tactics to actually knock this sucker out of the park, and as well maybe be introduced to other people in the industry, to resources that you might not even know about, or to potentially even work with me when it comes to bringing this project to the world, you can book an intensive coaching call at the link down below at crowdcrux.com/coaching. That link is crowdcrux.com/coaching. crowdcrux.com/coaching will take you there, and you can begin to fill out that form, tell me a little bit about you, what you're trying to accomplish, and we can get that call scheduled ASAP. I hope that you enjoyed this episode and some of the other ones I got out there. It means so much to me. If you did, leave a positive rating and review on iTunes. Let me know via YouTube with a positive comment or a thumbs up, or in any way in which you're listening to this show. Thank you so much for showing up for yourself and really investing in your education. Last thing I'll say is, if you do nothing else, take some action, my friend. Take some action this week. Use this as an excuse to hit that next milestone as you're going towards your goals. Have a great week. My name is Salvador Briggman, and I will see you next time.